Shout out, I wonder if you guys know the story of Doe and Ella. Type 2 if you don't. Who knows the story of Doe and Ella? Shut up. Okay, I'll tell you guys the story, okay? So listen. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Okay, so this is the story. So, okay, let me tell you guys the story. Let me actually tell you guys the story. Okay? So, the thing is that growing up, right? Growing up, I never had any, like, interactions with girls or anything, right? Ever. And believe it or not, I actually lost my virginity before I had my first kiss. Like, no bullshit. Because I didn't actually kiss the girl that I lost my virginity with, but it's like, okay, that's another story. Anyways, but so, and that was only when I was like 18, 19, right? So when I was younger, I just like never really had any experiences or anything. Never had any like girlfriends, never had anyone that I even like talked to, right? So I was just always like super inexperienced, right? So what happens is that at one point I am streaming, and this is around the time where I was like 18, 18 and a half probably. And this person, tier 3 subs to my stream named Caitlin, okay? So what ends up happening is they tier 3 sub to my stream, and I'm like, oh shit, wow. So I click on the profile, it's like a girl's face, all that stuff, so I'm like, oh shit, that's interesting. Because nothing like that had ever happened before, okay? So what ends up like so then I look at, after my stream, I look on Twitter and I see that someone named Caitlin followed me, okay? So at that time, I didn't know like anything like how to flirt or anything like that, so I was just like messaging them and trying to get in a call over the course of like 3 days, right? So it was like 3 days where I would sit there, I would message them, and then there would always be an excuse. Either their laptop broke, either their mic wasn't working, their headphones were fucked up, you know, they got busy or something like that, right? But the weird thing is that even though they would always dodge calls, they would always be in my streams, okay? So this individual was sitting there, and every single day would gift a fuck ton of subs, donate a shit ton of money, like a lot, guys. Like over the course of a month, think that it was probably around 3,000 to 4,000, okay? And they kept telling me how they were this multi-millionaire from like Texas. That's this like tech executive, lives in this fucking like, in this like penthouse, you know what I mean? And all that shit. So at one point we finally get in a call, and their voice sounds a little bit weird, a little bit off. And I ask about it, and they're like, oh, well, it's because I have like an older laptop and I'm using an older headset. Now, it didn't click in my mind at the time, right? But if you have a multimillionaire CEO, why are they using an old laptop? But I just took everything at face value, because with the amount of money they were giving me, it was hard not to. You know what I mean? Like if someone tells you I'm a girl multimillionaire, and then they're sitting there, they sound kind of like a girl, right? Like apart from it sounded just like a little bit staticky, but it did sound exactly like a woman. And then giving you all this like backstory on their life and all that shit, then why would you not believe it? You know? So then at one point, we start talking, you know, and then it gets to the point where she's like, oh, you know, or she is like, oh, I actually really like you. And I just want to let you know that I told my friend about us, okay? So then she tells me about the fact that she has this gay best friend that she always talks to, right? And they're like brother and sister, kind of, right? So eventually we get to points where we're having like these like 3-man or 3-person like group like chats and like calls, and we would like talk with each other and all that stuff, and it seemed very real. Everything she said, this guy would back up. He would always talk about her like, oh, I'm checking in on her today, or say things about how like she was happy, or how she had never like acted this way before, you know, or things like that, you know. So after about a few weeks of talking, it gets to a point where my school is about to start, okay? And I was talking to her, and she was like, you know what? Why don't you just come to stay with me in Texas for a few months? I'll talk to my Twitch buddies that are like the CEOs and shit like that, and they can put you on the front page and partner you. And then after, your streams will be doing super well, and you can like live here with me in this fucking $1 million penthouse, and all you have to do is stream, and that's the only thing I expect from you. You know what I mean? I was 18, bro. You tell an 18-year-old guy, like, yeah, you know what? You'll never have to worry about finances ever. Just stream and play video games and you're chill. I was like, holy shit, I'm down. So I send a letter to my school, right? And keep in mind that I'd be talking to this person at least 4 hours a day over text and like 6 to 7, like not 6 7, but like 3 to 4 over call as well. So was there a thing of like if I wasn't streaming, I was talking to them, whether it be on voice or on text, every day for weeks. So eventually, what ends up happening is I send a letter to my school and I'm like, hey, I don't actually want to come in for the next semester. I'm just going to be withdrawing, right? So I sent a letter saying like I'm not going to be coming in, and that's that, you know? So I withdrew from school for that semester. It was around like October 20 or August 25th. And then 2 days later, I started seriously talking to the girl more about like how I was going to get down there. And then she was saying things like, yeah, I'll get you a private flight, don't worry, because it was like COVID at the time, right? I'll get you a private flight, you don't have to worry about anything, and we'll make sure it's all working. So I was like, okay, but whenever I'd ask for flight details, right, they would always dodge the question. So at one point I talked to my mom about it, and then my mom's like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's your life. You do what you have to do. The only thing I ask is, since she was a cop, that she wanted all of Caitlin's information. Full name, address, phone number, parents' name, parents' address, parents' phone number, work, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So that if anything ever happened to me, she could at least like have a point of reference for contact. So that night, I get on the call with Caitlin, and I'm like, hey, my mom's gonna come on the mic soon and just ask you some questions so she can kind of like meet you, right? And then the Caitlin person starts freaking out. I can't do this, like sitting there fucking like losing their mind, right? So I was like, okay, don't worry. I'll ask my mom the questions. Like it's strange, but I'll ask her the question, or I'll ask you the questions, and I'll just give her the answers. So I get all the information, I give it to my mom, and then the next day I was like making my rounds to see all my family members because I was planning on leaving in like the next 2 or 3 days, right? And then as I am at my grandma's house, okay, as I'm at my grandma's house, I get a call from my mom saying everything's fake. So I'm like, what do you mean everything's fake? She's like, this person doesn't exist. The place they say they live at has never heard of them. Their phone numbers are all like dud phones. They don't exist either. And I was like, wait, what? So then I started like trying to get in contact, right? I tried to get in contact with the Kaylin, you know, and being like, yo, what? And just like no response. So then what ends up happening is I search up what she told me was her league account, and I saw that over the 2 or 3 days that she wasn't talking to me, that she was queuing ARAM's duoing with someone. Okay? So then I was intrigued. I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let me think. I'd love to go Olaf here. Let's actually just Socrates. So what ends up happening is I search up the guy, right? I search up the guy that she was like duoing with, and I found out that he was a gay dude. Okay. And I was like, that's weird. And then I search up because I found his like stream on Twitch, and I saw that his top gifter was the gay best friend of Caitlin. So I was like, why is her gay best friend playing on her account? So then what I did was I reached out to like an old person that she had told me that she used to talk to, who was also a streamer. And that guy told me that apparently she had done like the same thing with him, and it was a gay dude catfishing as two people at the same time. So I was like, what? And he's like, yup. It was this one person that is just a regular gay dude from Texas that pretends to be a girl online, right? So that he could develop these like emotional connections with streamers who aren't gay. And what ended up happening, I found out later, was that they found an actual gay dude from Quebec, right? Who was the guy that she had, I guess, like left me for. And then they ended up getting engaged. so dude, I was sitting there, right? And it was September, and I was in the worst mental state of literally my entire life. Genuinely. Like, imagine you take a semester off school to like fly out because you think your life for the next 20 years is going to be set, and then it turns out that it was all smoke and mirrors, literal complete lies. So yeah, that took me like a few months of just like sitting there every day wondering why. But yeah, that was a crazy fucking time, bro. Racy, yeah, it was racy. That shit was fucking crazy. And Gumi, there in the 5 months, and Matt there in the 5 months as well. Thank you, guys. That's fucked, yeah. So that's why it's like, bro, the amount of trust issues that I had for literal years was so fucking bad. Minus 4K though. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I'd made money from it, but it's like, like Jesus. You spend 4 hours a day talking to a gay dude. It's worse, dude. Like, do you understand that it's worse? I get on voice calls with that person. And what do you think 18-year-old dudes that have never had any actual, like, connections with girls before say online on voice calls late at night? You know what I mean? It's like I had sex with a man, bro, because I didn't know it was a fucking man consistently for weeks. Like, you understand how fucked up that is, Twitch chat? Imagine becoming unintentionally gay for a month. That's sort of what it was, dude. But that part didn't affect me as much. Because the thing is that when I was like 16, I had in-game catfished like guys online pretending to be a 20-year-old Brazilian girl for like Subway gift cards and shit. So I could use it for RP. So it's like it didn't like matter to me as much because like unironically I used to sit there when I'd pretend to be the Brazilian girl, bro, and I would literally like fucking type out these like sexual stories and shit, and then I'd get my $25 Subway card and I'd be like, all right, worth. That was fucking crazy. So it's like honestly, I think it was just karma. Like that's the way that I see it nowadays. Is that was just karma. So that's okay.